Hi, Jacques Villeneuve here, race car driver, and you are watching Party Poker Sports Stars Challenge 4.
First into the den, this French-Canadian has both an F1 World Championship from 1997 and an Indy 500 victory to his name. This is Jacques Villeneuve. This Italian racing hero has driven in Formula One for teams including Renault, Jordan, and Benetton. He has 3 F1 wins and currently drives for the Force India team. It's Giancarlo Fisichella. This Italian holds one of the best records in karting. He's driven Formula One for Jordan and is the reigning GP2 Drivers' Champion, Giorgio Pantano. He won the F3000 Championship in 2004 and is currently a test driver with the Force India Formula One team, Vitantonio Liuzzi. He finished 54th in the WSOP main event in 2006. From Torquay, this is online qualifier Scott O'Reilly. He's a 2-time FIA GT champion who's also a 24-hour Le Mans racer, Italian Matteo Bobbi. Our second online qualifier from London, this is Ian Smith. Some of the most famous faces to ever see a checkered flag. Gentlemen, start your engines. This'll be fast and furious. Get your adrenaline pumping. This is a thrill for me, Nik Persaud. Real legends of the asphalt here on the table tonight. I mean, you talk about titans in the motor racing world. Jacques Villeneuve, this is really exciting. 1997 world champion.
Yeah, household names here, Jesse. I'm really excited to see these guys play my game.
I don't know what kind of experience Jack has, but he's a man of all trades. I'm sure he's going to take to the game. And on his left, a guy who's still plying his trade on the F1 circuit. Big name. This is Fisichella.
Yeah, Giancarlo Fisichella. Very, very well-known name in the racing world, been around forever. Seen him on TV, and now he's in front of me. It's great.
Chips on the table. The green chips worth a pony, $25 each. Blue chips are worth $50. The red chips are the Blackbirds. They're worth $100 each. There's $2,000 in front of every player and 14 grand in cool cash on the table. Of course, you must acquire all those chips to go to the final table, and we're straight into the first turn here. What do you expect? You expect fast and furious.
Yeah, I think the Italian players are going to be bluffing each other, very macho, pushing each other to the limit, and it'll be interesting to see. There should be some fireworks in this heat.
On the action here.
Pass. Pass.
That's Liuzzi.
50 to call.
50 and
You want
raise
to raise.
And this Matteo Bobbi, he's
300.
spent a lot of time in some different positions on the F1 circuit. He was a test driver for Minardi.
Pass.
Concurrently competes in the Rolex sports car series,
Pass.
which I'm guessing is a slightly smaller engine. Engines don't get bigger than F1, do they?
Not really.
And Bobbi has raised up Giorgio Pantano, who's got the pair of sixes.
Call.
Now, the great thing about Giorgio's accent, sometimes call sounds like all in, and might be nearly the same. Pantano, of course, as most of these guys, started
Check.
his career in karting and has
Check.
had plenty of
Check.
Formula
Check.
One experience.
$1,000.
Here comes the bluff.
1,000.
Did you hear what he said? 1,000. Do you realize how much 1,000 is right now?
Well, I only started with 2,000, so basically he's committed himself to this entire hand.
How do you like that?
I think Pantano's definitely got some pants on him. He can stick the chips in. He's bet 1,000 into
1,000.
If
725.
you want to call, yeah.
Matteo Bobbi says, hey, I have an ace.
Sorry, fold.
Pass.
Did he say raise?
Well, it's best intentions here, and he clearly intended to throw him away. But Giorgio Pantano is not scared to show him. He says, Look, I'm not scared. This is what I'll do if I've got something I like. You're not going to bluff me off a pot.
Raise.
Yeah.
You know, before, just
Call
say
it if you don't
raise
like money.
and then the 350.
Well, these guys definitely aren't hanging about.
You like that. I mean, it's great. You know, each of the disciplines in this Sports Star Challenge, they come with their own style. And you can just, I mean, it's almost like you can feel the noise of the engines pounding here. This is going to be high octane.
Yeah, I mean, Matteo here's got 9-8 suited. I mean, this is like the crown jewels. He's not putting this down.
You could hold a lug wrench to his head and he's not laying these down before the flop.
Absolutely not.
Pass.
Call.
What's our boy gonna do?
Call. Call. No
Well, if
raise.
Scott O'Reilly lets him, 4 motor speed players taking the flop, and he will. Scott O'Reilly's like, hey, I'm the poker player here, guys. But he still looks a little bit overawed, doesn't he?
Absolutely. I don't think he'd dare try and raise all of these limps. I think he'd get it right back at him, but it's an interesting flop.
Well, it's given
Check.
Pantano the top
Check.
pair and Fisichella
Fold.
a straight draw and a pair.
Check.
What is it?
Check.
Check.
Say no.
You know, it's funny, these guys, you say, well, we don't know check. There are some games, some places
350.
where actually they don't allow you to check. You either have to bet or fold.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know if they play that in Italy, but I've certainly seen it in certain. They used to have it in Spain a little bit. So it's a very fast game, that one.
I'd like to play in it.
And look at this bet that Giancarlo Fisichella has stuck in, 350. Now this is pressure he's applying, and I mean, from what we've seen of Pantano, he's not going to be buckled down. But really,
Re-raise 700.
really, it takes a lot of guts to
Yeah,
make this
total.
play. Like, this is his stack right
700
now.
total.
Absolutely. I'm not sure whether these two guys are aware of the liquidity that they've got and the fact that they don't have that many
Fold.
chips. But he's got the best hand and he's raising it up, and he's giving Fisichella the decision. It's like cutting him up on the first bend, pulling across his line.
Yeah. Now, Fisichella, I mean, he's probably not going to consider folding here. It's a min raise. He knows he's got outs. It's just a question of what he wants to do, right?
Yeah, well, he's called. He can make a deuce for a straight or make trips or 2 pairs. So he was a 2-to-1 underdog if we ran the board out. The problem I think he's going to face is when this card comes down, Jesse, this king, he's going to face an all-in bet here from Matteo. Sorry, from Giorgio.
Check.
Oh, he's checked
Wow,
it
he's
back.
giving him the free card. The deuce, the 4, the 5 for Giancarlo.
Uh-oh.
And you know, that's why he's Formula One, basically. That's why he's top of the class.
He just gets to
800.
800. Wow. And I don't think Giorgio's going to be able to lay this down. Wow.
Well, you know what? He let himself get past. He took the turn too wide, and Fisichella overtook him. And he is now the only player above his starting stack, 2950. That's the way to win a hand. Style. Welcome back to the Party Poker Sports Stars Challenge for, well, we said there was going to be speed and have not been disappointed. And Ian Smith, look at his pulse pounding in the side of his neck. He must feel, what have I got myself into?
I'm sure he could have got himself in easier heats than this.
Pass.
This heat is hot.
Call.
Call.
And I knew he liked that 10-7 of clubs, but he didn't dare limp in with it.
Yeah, and you know what? I think
And
he's
no
thinking
raise.
the right way. We've seen a couple of limpers. The blinds are agreeable. Matteo Bobbi says, I don't even like my hand no matter what comes on the flop. But he'll still have a peek.
Check. Check or
Now, not for the first time. In fact, it's the second time.
check.
Pantano's flopped the top pair with the ace.
Check.
Check.
And after what happened to him last time against Fisichella, he's decided to just play it cute.
Yeah, he's got a bit gun shy, and look what's
Check.
happened here, Jesse. He's let Matteo Bobbi catch up.
This
Raise 500.
is considered really going the wrong way down a one-way street, isn't it?
There's no reason why he shouldn't have bet there. He's got the best hand in the long run. He's in a multi-way pot. There's a lot of bad turn cards for him, and that deuce is one of them. Is he going to lay it down this time? No. Can Giorgio find a fold? He's found it.
Pass.
And if he wasn't going to bet the flop,
Pass.
that's a nice lay down on the turn. You know, he's saying, I don't think my hand is good. Or do you think he still had equity there?
I just think that the guy's bet 2.5 times the pot. He made a good decision. You can't fault him for that.
Give him the money, Matteo Bobbi.
No problem.
So the blinds are out. We're still first level here in a sweltering game. And
Raise 200.
Pantano, who's been cut off
Raise
twice
200
already,
total. Yes.
decided just to take it in the slow lane. It's Fisichella. Now, I understand that Fisichella has played a bit of poker so far. After the Melbourne Grand Prix,
Oh.
he played a heads-up match. Well, he ended up heads-up after playing a one-table against Joe Hatcham, former world champion, and he beat him.
Wow. So he's beaten an Australian world champion. Seems like he knows his way around a poker table as well as the racetrack.
Sure does. He's firing on all cylinders, I guess.
He's dominated here though.
And in trouble. Now,
300.
Tonio Liuzzi, who's in the pot with, also drives for the Force India Formula One team. He's the test driver for Fisichella. So he might be thinking about a little bit more than his cards right now.
Raise 600.
Raise to 600 total.
I like that bet. It's a min raise. It's could suck certain hands in that are losing to him, and he'll find out cheap exactly how he stands. He did.
With only 2,000 chips, you don't need to make big raises here. That 600 does the trick. He has the best hand.
Still the first level, but a good poker game. Fisichella's provided most of the action, and tough to read, I think.
Pass.
I know he's aggressive.
Pass.
Round to Ian Smith on the button.
Call.
And a limp in. Now this is trappy.
Pass.
Must know it's a big
Raise.
hand.
Raise.
350. Total.
Big
300
raise to
more,
350.
350 total. Call.
Well, if he doesn't hit, we've already seen Fisichella lead most boards, and this is going to be action, Jesse.
Check.
Check.
He said to listen to this. A sneaky check with the set. Now, Smith has actually done quite well here to check behind. This is pot control, isn't it?
Yeah, or he's trapping, or I mean, this hand's over. I mean, he's just turned top two pair. He's got 4 outs,
450.
and he's going to raise, and Giancarlo's going to get it in.
And from Ian Smith's point of view, I mean, if he doesn't raise, he's doing something wrong because, yeah, I mean, his
Raise
hand looks
to
like it's
900
winning
total.
all the time.
Raise to 450.
In fact, he may fall out of his seat when he sees Fisichella's cards
I'm all in.
turned over.
All in.
And wasting not even a second. Fisichella, the instant re-raise all in, the trips against the 2 pair.
What an ugly, ugly turn card
He
for
can't-
poor Ian Smith. Giancarlo is golden, good-looking Italian F1 driver, and he absolutely flops a monster when his opponent flops another monster. Look at that, 9% for Ian Smith.
It's good to be the king. Yeah, he's got 2 aces and 2 nines in the deck. Does anybody feel it?
I
Yeah.
don't, not against Giancarlo. Blessed. There we go.
Ian Smith. He's in and now he's out. Talk about getting sand in your engine.
Good end.
Cheers, man.
Just rode off the road there.
He's walking out, scratching his head. Poor Ian Smith.
Yeah. And
Safe.
I mean, Smith's got nothing to feel bad about. Giancarlo just flopped big and then, well, he trounced him. He trounced him basically. Funny check on the flop. It was a trappy play from Fisichella, but once that 9 hit, I mean, money's going in.
Absolutely. When that 9 hit on the turn, top 2 pair versus a guy like Fisichella who happened to have that bottom set, all the money was going to go in the middle, Jesse.
I shouldn't have called it, to be quite honest. I should have sat back and thought about the hand. But I had a feeling that he was. I just when he went all in, I didn't really believe him, which is why I called it. But obviously now I know that was a wrong call.
I mean, talk about cushioning yourself to a lead, staking yourself to an extra lap. Fisichella, how tough is he going to be with $4,300?
He seems to be one of the most aggressive players on the table. He's not afraid to see a pair, raise it up pre-flop, obviously flop a set and get the money in. I mean, he's going to be tough to call back.
Yeah, and he's got card sense. Obviously, this pedigree that he has played, he's beat Joe Hatcham head up.
Pass.
And, you know, just seems to have everything working for him right
Raise to
now.
300 total.
And here comes Jacques Villeneuve
Call.
I fold.
up to 300, who also seems, this is the first hand he's played. He's playing it aggressively. Nice ace-jack on the button.
On the button, raised it up. Big raise as well, Jesse.
And Fisichella saying, I've got your Adam's apple. Peeling off the flop.
Check.
Going to be tough for
Check.
him to continue, but there's always bluffing possibilities. I think these two,
Check.
they probably have a little friendly rivalry going on.
Absolutely. If this turn comes a spade, which it does, is Giancarlo going to... Yeah, we go.
400.
It's very hard for Jacques Villeneuve to continue.
Well, very hard for him to find a reason to continue, but not hard to continue.
Well, he's got to remember, it's not this 400 he'll face now. It might be the all-in on the river. This
Yeah.
is going to be an interesting river card.
That's a really good point. And do you think Fisichella is going to pull that second barrel out?
Well, if there's anyone at the table that can, it's him. And you know what? He's got the chips to do it as well. And I just can't see how Jack will call.
Check.
Ah,
Check.
he's given up.
Check.
Ah, great call by Jacques Villeneuve on the turn there with ace high.
Hit the brakes, and the ace high always good. He played that hand the way you see a lot of pros playing it. You know, when you raise on the flop with these big aces, you miss the flop, you exercise pot control, but you got to call that bet on the turn, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve, race car driver. I've been playing poker for a few hours only. This is my first experience, so this is quite a challenge. A lot of friends have been trying to get me into poker over the years, but I'm always very passionate when I get into something, so I've always stayed away. But I just couldn't say no anymore, I guess. There's a few friends, people that I know playing, and so I thought that would be a good opportunity to get going. But it's the same thing as in racing. You often have to make decisions on taking a risk or not based on the odds that you judge. And there's a bit of that, I would say, in poker. Because of the racing, I've been aggressive as well in the past, so hopefully that will help out. We'll find out.
You do talk about aggressive poker players, but is there anything more aggressive than driving 200 miles an hour in a hunk of metal? I don't think so. It's probably why these guys have taken to poker like ducks to water.
Raise to 200 total.
Call.
Call.
Wow. Now this is interesting. Jacques Villeneuve's got the ace-3 and raised it up, and Fisichella's just decided to call.
And he knows the strength of kings.
And call.
He's giving him a bit of the verbal too. He's hoping to pick up a bet later on. This is very sly.
And I would probably make this play with these stacks. It's not going to be a problem to get all the money in if Villeneuve plays his ace-3 aggressively. And if he re-raises him, Jacques will probably just fold the ace-3. So I like this play with kings.
It's all fun until an ace-high board comes, but I'm assuming that Fisichella, if he's going to play the kings like this, can get away from those hands.
200.
Now what? Raise now, raise later.
Either's fine. They're giving each other the stare down. I'm sure they know each other very well.
Cool.
He's trying to do his most I don't know what to do face. He's playing it perfectly
He
so
certainly is. He's given it the whole song and dance. Has Jack fallen for it? Only the ace right now gets him out of trouble.
Will Jacques keep firing?
300.
This is lovely. He is hanging him from a high tree. And this is perfect. But now you put the hammer down no matter what you have, really.
Well, if you think the guy's going to bluff off on the river and he hasn't got much, I'd call again.
Cool.
I love it. I love the way he's playing. If he could see Jacques Villeneuve's hand, he would take the chance of getting an extra bet on the river rather than, you know, outweigh that with just hitting an ace on the river. There's only 3 left in the deck. It's the only card that can win it for him. And he's not got there.
And, you know, Jack's shown a lot of heart by firing 2 bullets. It would take an immense amount of heart to fire 3.
Most people don't have it in them. And, you know, good check, actually.
He has played him to perfection.
I'm getting pretty scared how well Giancarlo's played this hand. He's played this hand really well. Even the bet size on the river's pretty much spot on.
He may as well be Joe Hatcham sitting in that seat.
I don't know, I think he's better than Joe Hatcham. Wow, he's called him with ace high.
He has. He certainly has. That was a case, I think, of I just want to keep you honest.
Jacques Villeneuve there. I'd love to play with him. Lock the doors. I don't like that call at all with ace high, but that's really affected his chances. And the rich get richer. Giancarlo must have a ton of chips now.
Yeah, he has dusted off 900 on the river. They may have a bit of history. He may think that, look, if Fisichella had anything, he would have been raising before that. Either way, how many chips has he got? Just about this many. What are we? Only about a dozen hands in here, Nick? Giancarlo's won 4, and all big ones.
Yeah, and he's got 5,275 chips. Bet frequency 64%.
The key, those kings, if he re-raises pre-flop, what does he win? 200?
That's it. He took a risk with it. He called pre-flop, called on the flop and on the turn. He played the hand very, very well.
Fisichella in pole position, but who will pull into the pits next, and who will cross the finishing line in first place? Early action between Fisichella and Pantano on one side, Villeneuve on the other, and he's come out on top in every exchange. Not far away from half the chips in play. This is a man racing all his life, Jack. I think since the age of about 11.
200 chips out, but said call as the raise went out, but he said he meant raise. He's just said the wrong
goes
thing.
as a raise, all right.
Yeah, I think
Raise to 200 total.
well, these guys haven't gotten their terminology straight. They definitely know what the word is in Italian. Now, O'Reilly's got a decision here. I don't think he was ever thinking of re-raising. I think part of him wanted to just dump it, and he decided to try and peel off the flop. Do you like it, not like it, or aren't crazy about it at all?
I'm not really that crazy at this level. I mean, he's only got king, queen. And Liuzzi's intentions were clear. He's either got a hand like this or a hand that dominates. And what do you do with king, queen now? So,
Check.
out of position against these lunatics, I'd just rather fold it.
Right, O'Reilly could flop top pair, end up
200.
putting his whole stack in, and still be behind. That's what you're saying.
Raise to 400.
Raise 400 total.
And a donk from Jack, leading out into the razor, quickly raised by Liuzzi, who seems to know exactly where he's at.
I can't see Jacques Villeneuve getting off this hand. He's got middle pair. He doesn't want to see a jack. He's drawing really thin.
More, yeah?
Yes, please. Go.
Born in Montreal, raised in Monte Carlo. How's that for a fast lifestyle?
Very close. Thought that was a 6 for 1 minute.
Must be the 6 and only the 6. And, you know, Jack looks like he's just made up his mind that this is the one.
200.
He's really gotten his chips in quickly, hasn't he?
Call.
What do you think? I mean, Liuzzi must be eyeing Jack's stack and saying, look, I'm going to get his chips either way on the river. Let's let him bet them off.
There's 1900 in the pot. Jack's probably got a couple of hundred left.
Yeah, and I think exactly a couple, like 2. So
It's a pretty ugly river card.
I think if Liuzzi wasn't going to bet here on the river, you know, if there were cards that were going to scare him off betting on the river, he should have raised the turn, if you know what I mean.
200.
Absolutely. But I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get the money anyway.
I like that bet.
Didn't see the blue one.
Call for 200. Okay, cards.
And that's it.
He's giggling. He finds it hysterical.
Yeah, he's been in a great spirit since this thing kicked off. And I think he may, I don't know if he's gotten what he's expected or what he's deserved, but for Jacques Villeneuve, that Jack 6 was in trouble from the get-go, and it never improved from the flop. $50 he's got left. That's cab fare, and you know he don't need cab fare because he can drive himself.
Absolutely. Chip in a chair.
I didn't see the blue one.
I think there's a big smile sort of behind the visor here. And all in for the big blind. We're likely to be 5-handed after only a couple laps of the table.
This is fast and furious. I thought it would be.
Pass. Pass.
And speaking of, wasn't Villeneuve in that
100.
movie?
I'm sorry.
I know he was in a racing movie. Was that the Fast and Furious?
I mix up always 25 and 50.
Was Sylvester Stallone in that one?
Because you have too many cheap here. You need to,
Never say never.
you need to take it away a little bit.
Oh no, sorry, that was the Driven.
Raise.
And
475 total.
this is O'Reilly putting the hammer down. Now he's got the 210s, so this is a reasonable isolation move, isn't it?
You too. Enjoy.
It's a must situation. He can't afford people with random overcards to be in there for too cheap.
Yeah.
So, and now he's heads up with Jacques Villeneuve.
Sorry, I
Yeah, he'll take
Okay.
the side pot.
200.
And
Cards, please.
how's this? Scott O'Reilly a chance to take out a sporting hero. And all he's got to do is get the 10s to hold up over the deuce 4. It's a bit of an unfair fight.
I had a good one. It's looking good at this moment. We'll see though. 5 cards to go.
Scott's a professional. He knows it's he's in good shape, but there's 5 cards to come.
That's a good flop. Oh.
This is a bit of fun anyway. Even though he's got the 3 10s, Jack still has outs.
Yeah, he can turn the 5 ball, and then Scott would need the ball to pair up. Not yet.
Too many spots.
4 of them in the all. I think one's been passed. 3 5s in the deck. Not to be.
Good job, guys.
Well, sorry to see Jacques go. Relieved we don't have to pronounce his name anymore. Villeneuve. First to go. He has a bit of fun on the table anyway.
Yeah, he seemed to enjoy himself. He smiled the whole way through, so good luck to him.
Well, that gets Scott O'Reilly into gear and Jacques Villeneuve into the gravel trap.
Well, the game went quite quickly, I would say, so that was a good first experience. I wasn't first off the table, so that's a good start. I started being patient, and it started okay, but then I got a little bit bored, so wanted it to move a little bit faster.
2 players down, 5 still on the track, And Fisichella and Liuzzi, of course, way ahead. The others basically where they started. Giorgio on the short stack. Five-handed now. Liuzzi's been on the upward swing. And the others just basically hanging around where they started. Pantano's had a bit of a recovery, about a 25% recovery.
Pass. Pass.
Full play is 50, no?
100.
100, so.
Call.
Raise.
Raise.
You know, I was going to say that.
450
How,
total.
I mean, this is poker right here.
This is absolute poker. I'm starting to think that Fisichella might be a bit of what they call a ringer here, Jesse. He's absolutely playing proper poker. There's a limp on the button. He's got the chip lead. He's saying, you know what? I'm just going to use my stack. In tournaments, in No Limit, using the size of your stack is one of the most important things. He had deuce 4.
Right, and there's only one of two ways to explain it. Either he's logged 1,000,000 hours at the poker table, or he's a very quick learner.
He must be a very quick learner. I'm sure all these racing drivers are pretty bright guys. I'm sure he's picked this up pretty quickly.
You know, even if he's played before, it can't be for more than a couple of years. It can't be, you know, with all the time it takes to driving. He's got to be very intuitive.
Some people just have natural card sense.
Pass.
And maybe, you know, Giancarlo is one of those guys that just gets it. A lot of people can play for years and never get it. But he just gets it. And the way, from what I'm seeing, from what we're seeing, Jesse.
Why'd you have to make fun of me in the middle of that? But you're right. It's always a pleasure to see somebody who's just, you know, right away understands all the dynamics going on. The application of pressure and squeezing it. Here we've got a limp. I think it was a limp from Matteo Bobbi, which has brought in the blinds.
Check.
Now between Pantano and Bobbi, I wonder if this is going to come down to position.
Raise 300.
300.
It's much easier to have Bobby's hand right now than Pantano's.
I think Pantano knows that whilst he might have the best hand, he doesn't have lots and lots of chips in front of him that he can make these marginal calls with, so he just decided to check fold.
He made a nice pass of a pair of aces on the river earlier, Giorgio, so clearly not going to pay people off. And for Matteo Bobbi, back in the frame, about where he started.
Imparato a giocare bene.
Call. Pass.
That was a half. That was a half call.
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 He's looking for validation from the dealer. Like, is this all right? Am I allowed to limp the Jack 9 out of position?
You know what I find quite amusing is that, you know, there's one professional at this table, Scott O'Reilly, and he's the youngest guy at the table, but he's the one who's playing the slowest. I mean, you know what I mean? He's like, these guys are all moving 1,000 miles an hour.
And we've got an interesting situation here.
Check.
Liuzzi's got top pair.
And O'Reilly, I mean, was he checking there to check raise? It was an interesting sort of, you know, why not bet that out?
Check.
We're betting it out now.
Yeah, definitely.
200.
And Liuzzi, will look at his. I think Matteo's going to vote by Liuzzi. He's got a flush draw. He's got middle pair. It's hard not to like this hand a lot.
Absolutely, he's got all those extra.
400.
Yeah,
Raise
and he does
400
like it, Jesse,
total.
and that's why he's raising. And I think Scott might just get it in here.
And he's raised here because, you know, if Scott doesn't have it, he realizes it is a good card to raise on. If Scott doesn't have an ace, he can't call. There's some hands with equity he can get out. And he may just have the best hand himself, right?
I think definitely Scott will be thinking to himself, the guy's like trapping, playing it like a big hand, but even if aces and threes do happen to somehow be behind here, then he's got the nut flush draw to,
Raise
so
all in.
he's putting it all in now. He's got the nut flush draw to fall back on. He might get called here.
I'll tell you, this feels like an Omaha hand. One guy's got 2 pair and the nut flush draw. The other guy's got a pair and a flush draw. Amazing situation in hold'em.
Yeah. So now it comes down to some maths and some pot odds. Unfortunately, Scott just hasn't got the bear ace. He's actually got aces and 3s, so that kills some of Liuzzi's outs. But he does have a pair of 10s. He does have a flush draw.
He figures he's somewhere between 9 and 14 outs, I'm guessing, and there is a remote possibility he's ahead.
Well, he would be ahead if O'Reilly's made this play with like the 4-5 of clubs or something like that. But he's pretty aware that he's behind, and now he's just seeing whether he fancies it or not.
He's getting slightly under 2 to 1. He's not that far off the price if he does have his full complement of outs.
Yeah, he's got to just like maybe make a value judgment, but he's actually folded. I think Scott will be happy with that.
It was a very sensible fold by Liuzzi too, wasn't it?
As it turns out, yep.
Texas Hold'em is a great kind of game because you know, it's really mental. You know, you can bluff, you can play hard, you can do all the kind of things that sometimes you can do also in your sport, in your proper sport. So that's what makes it really similar. Even if there is not the speed, there are a lot of mental area where you need to be really strong, and that's what I like the most. This time I have to study a little because it's not just race driver, there will be also 2 professionals with us. I will take it easy at the beginning, but then you know, it's time to wake up after the middle of the game and see what show what you're made for.
Lines up, 75-150. That will benefit Fisichella, who's in the driver's seat. He's been winning this in first, second, and reverse.
No.
And it'll be nice to see who's going to come up to challenge him. Scott O'Reilly looking down at his chips. Maybe he'll have enough to take Fisichella on.
I raise.
Raise.
350.
Like this.
350 more.
350 total, isn't it?
Total. No. 350
Yeah,
more.
you are right. No.
No, that's...
No. It's 150, 150. You wanted 350 more?
Sorry, I was thinking it was under.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, that's fine. So it's 350 more.
Cool.
Cool.
Basically, Fisichella, he limped, and Pantano has done a Fisichella on Fisichella.
He's done a fizzy on fizzy, and I don't know. Aggression should win. If they both miss, the one with the initiative should win the pot. Unless you're Giancarlo Fisichella and you flop top pair every hand.
I feel a bit bad for Giorgio Pantano here because, you know, you like the idea. I mean, he sees what's going on. He knows.
Before the chips have crossed the felt, Giancarlo has set him in.
Wow.
I do like the idea though, Jesse. You're absolutely right. If Giancarlo doesn't flop the top pair, Pantano wins it by default. But, you know, you're playing against a man in form at the moment. He made a move on his mate.
Talk about burning rubber. Can you see the streaks that his chips left as they got into the pot, Fisichella? Instantaneous all in. What do you call that? The snap all in?
You know, literally, his chips beat him into the pot, beat Pantano's chips into the pot.
And it hurts more when someone does that to you, doesn't it?
Look at Giorgio's face. He doesn't look happy at all. These Italian men, they're very macho, they're very proud. They don't like getting pushed around. He made a move and he got caught. He's not smiling anymore. The hands are moving.
When the hands start moving, watch the chips.
Mamma mia.
Pantano's originally from Padua.
Pass.
From Padua, yeah?
Padua.
150.
And Fisichella, a Roman. A Roman.
A Roman. A Roman.
Pass.
Raise.
Raise.
Oh man, he is hot. He is steaming.
The engine's steaming, Jesse.
Absolutely steaming.
The gaskets are gone. He's on overdrive, this boy.
Call this if you don't like money. Yeah, take the glasses off. Stare them down.
Pass.
And they all fold in the face of the all. You know, and sometimes that's a good way to just sort of right your momentum, isn't it?
I'll tell you what was he going to do? He lost a big pot just then. He's left with very few chips. He could pick up the blinds. He had King Jack. Good lad, stick it in.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Fantastic. May not have much fuel, but I'm still driving. Well, the first one might be good enough.
Pass.
And it better be, because the second one was nothing to write home
Raise.
about.
Raise.
All in.
All in.
450.
Okay.
450 total.
And I'm guessing that from Pantano's point of view, it's not that he's not committed with the rest of his stack, but that he's almost trying to induce action. This is the kind of hand you want to induce action with, isn't it?
This is a great spot for Pantano. I think that Scott realises that Pantano's got to make a move. You know, he doesn't have to have a big hand.
You can't blame Scott here. He is behind, but he's probably ahead of Pantano's range. Would you agree?
He's been called very quickly. He probably doesn't like it. He's going to wince now. Rolled his eyes up to the ceiling. You can still hit a 10, Scott, but that was a bit of a cold deck.
It is Pantano all in. O'Reilly's got about 1,300 back, but this is an important pot for both players. Slightly more important for Pantano because he must win it to stay in. He's 68% favorite.
And now he's in really good shape with the ace-jack.
Yeah, very unlikely to get a split pot from here with the low cards on board. Impossible now. Just 3 10s in the deck for Scott.
This is a decent pot. 22.50 in the pot. Giorgio needs to win this one, and he has.
That's how you get back on the road. What is he thinking now? I'm going to use those chips and get Fisichella.
Yeah, there's a bit of rivalry there. Let's see if he's going to play back at him again with a Jack 5 type hand. But he's been burnt once. He's just got his chips back.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I'll be keen to see how he reacts now.
Scott O'Reilly looking a bit wide-eyed there. That took a little bit of the fight out of him. He knows he's down to one move.
Fold.
Call.
Fold.
Pass.
It's almost like Giorgio now feels like he's got some chips to dust with. Look at this. You can't wait around for the aces and the kings, but if you ask for but if you go a notch down, then the ladies will come to visit.
I think he's getting called here. I think Giancarlo with his chip stack is going to realise that Scott can be doing this not necessarily with a big pair, so
this is overall in your mind in this fast format. This is a call you take with Fisichella's stack.
Yeah,
1,150.
1,150 more.
cool.
Take the 150
I think this is pretty standard.
Yeah, he's going to feel like he's been a bit unlucky not to be in a race.
Call.
As it is, what a spot for O'Reilly, and it's going to open this game up wide. Still, what, about 18% chance the fours crack the ladies.
Yeah, but I don't want to be in Scott O'Reilly's position against Fisichella. Give those fours to anyone else at the table. This boy's informed Giancarlo, and he's got to sweat 5 cards. I see him making some miracle straight.
Yeah, you know, I think you're right. The club for the flush.
The miracle backdoor wheel as well. Deuce 5. It's not over yet.
Well, he's nearly gone favorite, Fisichella.
Okay, so
just 2 quattros on the river to avoid. Is what the Londoners thinking.
wow,
Right.
close.
Good job.
One spot off, innit? Got to keep some British people in there. Can't bust us all out.
Flying the home flag there, Scott O'Reilly, and back in business. Well, look, he's up to 2,800. He'll feel Well, he's going to feel like $1 million right now.
Hiya, I'm Scotty Roddy. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Torquay in Devon, and I play poker for a living. I come 54th in the World Series of Poker main event, which, like, down to the last 6 tables is a very close feeling. Lots of adrenaline going, but got $165,000 for that, and that was probably my most memorable moment by far. Today I'm going with a feeling that hopefully it should be a softer table than last time. Last time for the World Open I had Neil Channing and a couple of other big names on the table, whereas this time hopefully the players should be a slightly softer level, but we'll see.
Because I call, yeah.
Welcome back. Party Poker Sports Stars Challenge 4, joined by Nik Persaud. Goes on, the game goes round. And Liuzzi, who's... Well, he's been a bit wooden for the last round or so, is getting into play. Now, this is O'Reilly's decision here. Does he rate that Liuzzi is weak? If so, he must raise?
Yeah, I mean, short-handed again. He's got a pair. What are his options? Let's look at them. Folding, no good. Calling, it's okay. Raising's the best option.
Call.
He's just decided to call. He's going to let the blinds in now, though.
Raise.
1,000.
To 1,000.
And what do you do now?
I mean, this is what I love about Fisichella, and obviously O'Reilly didn't think about this. He was concerned with Liuzzi. Is the guy trapping me? Should I limp? Not realizing that he looked so weak while making that decision that Fisichella can't help himself.
Has he not seen Giancarlo Fisichella pick up on weakness and been pound limpers all the way through?
Look at that look. He knows. He knows. Yeah, he knows exactly what's happened to him. He might as well have taken that money, lit it on fire, and thrown it in the dustbin.
Absolutely, and look at the smirk on Giancarlo's face, like a naughty school child. He is playing really, really well at the moment. He's still using his chip stack. He's still using his chip lead. This is what a chip leader should be doing.
Oh, look at you.
Also, you know what I love about poker is there's always a big gap between people who have instincts and people who act on them every time. Fisichella, he hasn't missed a spot. Whenever the cards have not been important, they haven't been important. People say being a poker player is dangerous. It can be dangerous. It can be dangerous to your bankroll. It's unlikely to be dangerous to your physical well-being unless you spend too much time at a Las Vegas buffet.
Call. Pass.
Doesn't look like any of these guys have spent too much time at the buffet.
They're all quite diminutive when I met them. Obviously, you have to be below a certain height to really fit into a sports car. I should be good at it then.
350 total.
Pantano getting active here. He made this play, I think, with nearly the same hand in an earlier round. Matteo Bobbi limps, and from the small blind, Pantano, a little bit of it's kind of like a squeeze, isn't it?
Call.
Was it just not big enough?
Pass.
Yeah, the sizing's a bit off, but
he's in a good spot.
Whenever you've got the lead pre-flop, you know, you've got to fancy your chances after the flop's dealt.
Right. If Liuzzi misses, Pantano's going to win this somewhere between 90 and 99% of the time.
And even if it comes like ace-jack, ace-queen 5 or something, or, you know, on this kind of board.
Check.
Check.
Wow. Very surprised to see Pantano give up on that. What do you think the idea is here?
I'm not too sure, actually. But he might, you know.
You might think that Liuzzi's a tightish sort of player. Who would have an ace in this spot? Calling the raise, I don't know. Now it's just got ugly for him.
Yeah, I think he's given up on this pot now. He's probably going to bet it, but if he's going to make his move, it probably would have been better to make the move on the flop.
It's sort of, they talk about this delayed continuation bet, but you can't do it out of position, can you? Because you don't find out any information from your opponent on the turn.
And, you know, he's getting called.
Raised to 450.
He's actually getting raised.
Yeah, end of hand. Job done.
And Pantano will have to feel in the end around that he allowed that to happen. He started something, didn't finish it.
Absolutely. That move he made pre-flop only works if you're going to get busy after the flop. Checking and then making a very weak bet on the turn.
As long as there's something left in the tank, you can't run out of gas. It's a nice shot. You can see how close all the chips are to the felt. These guys, they're not guarding them carefully. I mean, from Fisichella's point of view, they're all ready for action.
Call. No raise.
Vitantonio. And O'Reilly's been a bit wary of Liuzzi. I don't think he exactly knows what to make of him. You know, Liuzzi made that sort of strange little check raise on him, and Scott never really found out what he had.
I think if Scott gets checked 2 twice, he's going to have a stab at it, so...
Check.
Yeah, it was a really quick check. I think Scott, he can't show 9 high down here.
Well, the truth is that 9 high looks like it does have showdown value.
275.
In a weird way, and he's got an instant flop.
175 even.
What sort of, yeah, in a weird way.
That's a sign of a professional poker player.
2 left.
If he gets checked 2 twice, he's betting. So when you play a professional poker player, check twice to them because they're always going to bet.
It's very good tip.
No chance.
Another level, been and done, and it's been a lovely level. I think really educational, really, to watch, to see what is possible on a fast format table. It's possible to take control.
If anyone can take anything from this and see aggression, Giancarlo Fisichella is playing perfect aggressive poker at the moment. You wouldn't want this guy sitting at your table in any format.
Blinds up here to 100, 200, and obviously, as we've said, Nick, Giancarlo Fisichella has to be stopped. He's got enough chips that the only way that these guys have to stop him is the re-raise all in. You know O'Reilly knows about it. You feel like Pantano's got it in him.
The only problem is, do they have enough chips after he's raised to re-raise all in? I mean, we know Scott's got enough. Just. We know Liuzzi's got enough just, but I think the other 2 guys have to be very careful from now on.
And this really surprises me. This is the first time that Fisichella has limped behind a Matteo Bobbi limp. I don't know what he thinks has changed. Perhaps he thinks that Bobbi has so few chips that he cannot pass to a raise.
Check.
Check.
Yeah, that could be it. He just wants to see a cheap flop.
Check.
And you know, he's probably right. I don't think Bobbi could pass to a raise with the chips he has back. This is an open board.
Check.
The door is open for
All in.
anybody to
All
win
in.
this, and great. That's great.
Pass.
Good boy. You've just turned a gut shot. You're going to get the other gut shot to fold.
Bluffing with the best hand, the best draw, and the biggest heart. Two potatoes. Liuzzi really, what was he thinking about? He really wanted to, he really suspected that perhaps Bobbi was at it. No.
An Italian gut shot is like an open-ended straight draw for the rest of us. He didn't want to put that down, but fair play to Matteo Bobbi there. He's basically doubled up, Jesse.
You're absolutely right. He seized the day. Carpe diem.
Carpe diem.
Pass.
600.
Raise 600 total.
Now, O'Reilly in second position. I'm guessing that with this stack, he's made this raise to call everybody's shove except for Fisichella.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got a pair. He's going to get it through most of the time. He can't limp with it. He can't fold with it. He's just got to do what he did. Now he's actually winning, so
Pass.
It's in the lap of the poker gods.
I was going to ask how much it is, but he wouldn't fold here in a million years.
He's getting over 3-1, so it's an easy call. He's going to call.
550 more.
Please, please, please have ace king.
Cool. Cards, please.
Got a pair.
Pair's good right now. It is the 2 over cards. Ace big. And Matteo Bobbi needs the ace or the big. In fact, any face cards are going to give Bobbi some extra sweat value as this hand develops.
So far, so good for Scott.
Certainly is. He looks a bit sick to his stomach, Bobbi. He needs to pull one out of the glove compartment.
It's always nice to hit it on the flop, but now he's drawn to 6 outs. Scott, as you can see, they're an 86% favourite to win this hand now. Matteo needs a miracle, and that's not it.
Does this car come with an ejector seat? Matteo Bobbi bounced.
Good luck.
He was a bit half-stacked from early on. Basically did all he could, Nick.
Yeah, he did nothing wrong there. He got his chips in, he was pretty low, and lost the race. We have races in poker, they have races in Formula 1.
I mean, looking at the stacks, not much between the top 2. It's Pantano now who's got to make the move.
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. Fisichella and O'Reilly look to be surging ahead. Liuzzi's playing maybe too solid a game.
It was the first time in my life playing poker. Actually, I just learned yesterday the rules, so it was really the first time. And I had fun, I was keeping playing, and I had 3 or 4 nice game. So I mean, I'm happy and fun. It was a nice experience.
4 around the track, 3 in the pit, and 2 with a few laps on the field.
He always squeezes a nice first card, and there's always a disappointing one behind. Doesn't stop him calling though.
He likes to squeeze.
Cool.
There's actually a lot of ways to squeeze. Obviously, draw players squeeze their cards sideways for the spots.
Yeah, just keep it as a friendly family card.
Yeah.
Willie Tan has. I think there's 17 different ways to squeeze a card, and Willie Tan knows all of them. This hand, of course, 4 ways for the flop, and the limp by Fisichella under the gun, which has brought everybody in. I mean, this seems to somehow be related to the fact that everybody's got a short stack. I'm not sure I get it though.
800.
800.
It's a pretty trashy hand, to be honest, Jack 6, but let's look what's out there. Oh, there we go. Liuzzi's got the top pair with a king kicker, so he's not going to get this octo through his compatriot.
Yeah, and if Liuzzi raises all in, which I'm guessing he will, I wonder if Fisichella's going to be trapped in for pot odds. Oh my! Have a gander at that.
I'm astonished, Jesse.
The thought being, Liuzzi, he didn't want to call, he didn't want to commit his stack on a free flop from the big blind. Is that what only you can? They say don't go broke in the big blind. In a
well, it's a raggedy board, 8-7-3 rainbow. He's got top pair, second best kicker. He can't wait forever. I can't believe he passed there, but you know, testament to Giancarlo Fisichella for just trying to make a move, and it worked again.
This particular position, I think he's going to be slightly more careful, aware that O'Reilly has a larger stack than the other 2.
And now he picks up a really genuine hand. They're in trouble. 800 again, 600.
Yeah, I mean, anyone picks up any sort of ace on this table, they'd be forgiven for getting all the money. And Giorgio is making what if he hadn't have made this play, you'd consider a bad play.
I mean, this is like what Gus Hansen does. He runs the table over, and then when Gus Hansen gets called, he has the hand. I mean, I bet they can't believe that Fisichella's got ace-king. What's he raising with the other times? Well, it's definitely not ace-king.
Non stavo bluffando. No. Mi raccomando, tira fuori 10 va. Che non mica voglio uscire adesso.
He's run Pantano off the table. Pantano's saying, I know you play.
talent.
Well, I have a general idea what he said. I think what Pantano was saying. Hey, if I got cards like you, I could have played like that too. Pasto.
Wow.
For me, that's it.
For me, he doesn't want any more cards.
Stick.
Yeah, stick.
The king, the killer. I would be. Oh, look at the spades. This would be brutal.
Don't do that.
Well, he had the best hand going in, so
Don't do that.
there would be a little bit of justice, but I'd like to see Pantano get back into this. Please, he's saying. Per favore.
Oh,
Oh,
close.
Black one too.
Thank you.
thank you.
Nice hand.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a nice rivalry going between these two. That's for sure.
Mrs. Servate.
1700. He can do some damage.
He definitely can. He could double up to nearly 4,000 if he gets lucky with the next hand. So yeah, that was a much needed pot for Giorgio Pantano.
Have to pass.
Pass.
I follow you.
Oh no, I feel it. I feel it.
Call.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Scott.
Raise. Raise.
Now, he has to shove all in
raise
here,
all in?
Scott. Yeah. Yeah, he had to. He absolutely had to. And if Fisichella calls, he's got him. Can he call?
He can. I've made calls like this before when I've seen this play. Look at the dynamics. This is just a psychological thing you've got to work out. But Fisichella's running the table over. Well played, Scott, though. He's just not going to let that happen, that pattern happen over and over again.
He really had to. That was pretty lovely that Scott O'Reilly realized he had to do that. Now, obviously, he was waiting for a big hand to do it, but you can see he knew he wasn't gonna get queens. It had to be anything remotely shovable.
Well, the stack sizes were such that limping, raising, and then coming back over the top was the best play. He didn't want to make it 600 and then get it made to 3,000 and then, basically have to be calling all in. So he manipulated the stack size really well, though, and he had the heart to do it and follow through.
He was able to get his chips in first and still have fold equity, huh?
Yeah, I would have called him. I would have been suspicious and I would have called him.
Check. Check.
That was the first blemish that Fisichella has on his score pad.
And it wasn't even that big a mistake, actually. So, he's still my favourite at this stage.
Check.
Check. All in.
Wow.
There, all of a sudden, and it's not like Giancarlo, to let Giorgio get away with that one. Oh, I know he had the best hand, but he did let him catch up there, Nick.
He did flop the gut shot.
The blinds are up, and the blinds are up quite high now. 15300.
Sempre Jenson quando era più giovane.
The average stack, Nick, is 3500, which means that the average stack is just over 10 big blinds. Now, both Fisichella and O'Reilly are above that number, and the other two are under.
Call.
Call.
Raise to.
Wow, this is a cold all in.
This is a
all in.
Okay, call.
Yeah, wow. This is unlucky. Blind on blind.
Money was always going in. It didn't matter how it was going to happen. I like Pantano's line, but it just wasn't going to matter, was it?
Mi raccomando, una donna, puoi tirarla fuori.
And I think he said, it's not over till the river card is dealt. That's what he just said.
Well, he just beat Ace King with Ace 10. Why can't he beat Ace King with Ace Queen?
Non mi hai mai fatto vincere a me. Dai. Asso.
Well, it would have gone in on the flop. This was always going in.
Yeah.
Asso. Asso.
You're very tough to get a split pot, as you can see by the percentages. It basically has to come runner, runner. There are no split pots now.
Donna, dai. Come on, please, please. Be nice with me.
Oh, a hard hand to lose. Aces and tens
Play
with a
it
queen.
out.
It's a hard hand to lose with, really. But he has. By the hair of his chinny
Dubai.
chin.
Dubai.
Ciao, ciao.
What do you make of Liuzzi? He's certainly in a chip position now where he can compete with the rest of them, but it feels like what we've seen so far, they're going to play him like a pinball machine.
Yeah, he's definitely the most conservative player at the table, maybe too tight, and I think the professional Scott O'Reilly and our newborn professional Giancarlo Fisichella, they're going to probably run him over.
You know, you have a good day, you have a bad day. I didn't have a very nice hand. I just probably have 3-4 and nice, but after that the card was not good for me today. Probably was not my lucky day.
Raise, re-raise, all in. Could certainly be on the cards. I mean, if O'Reilly raises, and now may actually be the time in the game when he's opening up a little bit. Onto Liuzzi's big blind. He's got chips. What do you think? Raising a lot of hands here?
Well, if Giancarlo actually ever folds his button,
Cool.
and he's blind on blind and Liuzzi limps in, I think he'll be just pounding those limps.
And what do you make of this? Liuzzi just checking from the big blind with the big ace. I mean, it is a big ace three ways.
Absolutely, this is just wrong. He should be raising it here, not giving Giancarlo an opportunity to see the flop.
Check.
Because we've already seen if Giancarlo misses,
he could
and he
bet,
senses
you know.
weakness from Liuzzi, he could bet Jesse, you're right. Especially when he picks up a flush draw.
400.
400.
It's not much fun calling with ace 10 now, is it? So I think we should have seen Vitantonio raising pre.
Yeah, he saw that one coming up the lane, and before he's looked, it's gone right by him. I wonder if he's...
Pretty sure you don't have much. I fold.
I'm pretty sure you don't have much, but I fold.
Well, that's the gap between instincts and execution. Love the way this poker game matches up three-handed. I mean, you've got aggressive in Fisichella, steady in Liuzzi, and just plain good poker experience in O'Reilly.
Cool.
Cool.
You could really see any of them winning, couldn't you?
Let's go.
Cool.
Three-way pot, maybe.
Another family pot.
No raise.
Scott made what I see as a tough decision very quickly. Do you think that he's checked here because he didn't like the awkwardness of the stack size by making a raise?
Yeah, he doesn't want to make it 12, get called by one of the guys, and then be firing out in the dark out of position. So, I mean, he wants to see a flop first, and that's like the nuts, so it's pretty good for him.
Check, check.
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 He tried to slip one to Giancarlo, who didn't bite.
Check.
Check.
Would you check twice? No, you can't check
700.
twice, can you?
Now, Fisichella's a bit of a station. He's got an up and down
Cool.
straight draw.
Cool.
And he's called that pretty quickly. And
I
I
mean-
think that overcall's going to get Liuzzi out of the way. He knows his 8 is behind the king and the 9 now, so
No, fold.
yeah, he's made a good fold there.
Just thinking, Nick, I mean, Fisichella calling here, he's probably thinking the 10 and the jack are as good as the 7 or a queen. They're not. You know,
Scott's definitely checking this river, I think.
Check.
check to induce a bluff.
Yeah, no, but, you know, Fisichella did well not to take the bait.
King.
King, good.
Yeah, king, good. That's a nice pot there for Scott.
It certainly changed his dynamics, his direction. Look, he's deep in thought now. He's trying to figure it out. What's the adjustment? Don't you almost just want to see what's going to happen if Scott O'Reilly limps here from the small blind? Just for the fun?
Well, Giancarlo's back down now, so we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. He should fold this.
Sorry.
And raise to 800.
Wow, now he's changing gears.
Yeah, and I think he just took his eye off the ball there for second, Fisichella. O'Reilly hadn't acted yet. Fisichella thought he was raising, and Scott didn't miss that. He doesn't miss anything. Nobody's waved the checkered flag yet, obviously. It's only up to Mad Marty to wave that checkered flag when we have a winner. But O'Reilly has pulled ahead. Oh, I'd say he's run the fastest 4 laps of late.
Raise to 900 total.
Fisichella still has the course record here.
Call.
Cool.
His main customer's out the pot, but he has found Liuzzi with an ace.
One short, isn't it? Yeah.
One more there, yeah.
O'Reilly was thinking either raise or fold. Liuzzi went midway with the call. He was always going to be in trouble here.
Check.
Well, it's 2,000 in the pot, and Liuzzi's only got just about a bit over that behind, so...
And if anyone had a question whether or not O'Reilly could ship it all in without very much of anything, this is your answer. Yes, he can.
Any bet he made committed him to the hand, so he decided just to set Liuzzi all in.
No.
Up to 6,800. That has to be his high water mark, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. Fisichella has to pull himself together and focus now. He looks a bit switched off. I don't think Liuzzi's going to be the threat to Scott, so we definitely need to see Giancarlo put his game back together.
Watch his forehand for the big blind.
Cool, thanks, yeah. Pass.
Raise.
Raise.
1,000.
1,000 total.
All in.
Raise all in.
He's drawing a line in the sand. Unfortunately, he's picked
Cards,
a bad
please.
spot to do it.
An unfortunate spot.
Showdown or-
Not really I mean, overall...
Well, he had no fold equity, and he's kind of calling all in.
Right.
He should be basically trying to get his chips in first, but...
Good news. This pot size, $6,300. Now, I know Liuzzi's drawing, but look at those percentages, 37%. You know, there is some life in this car.
That's the power of light suited connected cards, you know. They can make straights, flushes. It's not all over yet by any means.
The heart looked like a nice door card.
And that's why it's not all over.
All of a sudden, any jack, any heart. Look at this, up to 45%.
Now comes up full. Ma c'hai 4 quinti, ma tu c'hai 4 quinti di full.
Yeah, the low black ones are not going to do the business here.
È un jack e un cuore. Jack e cuori.
Cuore is a heart, I believe, like the French cœur, or a jack.
That's the story.
Ouch! Uchi Uchi.
He got him. I finally got him. So sometimes you just got to get in with the worst of it and suck out. I mean, his timing,
3,150.
as far as being able to play a big pot, was spot on.
You pass this
I mean, this is a bit of rough justice.
Right. Nine's a favorite over the 9-jack, a pretty big favorite, but only about 2 to 1. And these things happen. And for Fisichella, what did you call this? Rough justice?
Absolutely, he's played the best poker. He's got sucked out with Ace King versus Ace 10. He's just got sucked out with 2 9s versus Jack 9. He's not done much wrong, and he's currently in 3rd place.
Pass.
Cool.
And a call. Cards, please.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Thanks.
Now he's not in that bad shape. He's not in good shape.
Look at this.
But he's not in that bad shape.
Well, it's better than having
So
2 unders or Scott having 2 jacks. Then he would be in really, really bad shape. But yeah, he's got a squeak. He's about 5 to 2, bit less.
Probably slightly better now. Any 5 or any jack. Well, not much, slightly better. About a one ball. Do you feel the river?
You're thirsty.
He deserves it, but I don't feel it, Jesse.
He does deserve it.
Check.
Is that rough justice?
That's back again. He's back in the game.
Or is that just back in the saddle? That's the code of the West. An eye for an eye.
Every time
Tooth
it's like
for a
Lander. No dice.
They've got trouble on their hands again now.
They certainly do.
Pero, tú sabes.
These boys have played some hands, these drivers and the Englishmen. I don't think there have been any unraised pots. Not since dawn, anyway. And O'Reilly's only got 3,900. I say only because it's only 10 big blinds.
Check.
You know, it's debatable whether there's a move for anybody that doesn't involve all in. That's certainly debatable.
Yeah, you don't want to be starting to raise big proportions of your stack like 1,200 and be folding too often. That's bad play. I think there'll be lots of all-ins soon. And there's gonna be one now.
Oh, Lordy. What a cooler! What a cooler!
And they've both checked it.
They have. This is good.
If a queen comes... Wow. The money's gonna fly in.
800.
800.
Just 2 breaths for image.
All in.
A little bit of
Call.
Call. Really cool.
Now there are some outs here, obviously. The 3 queens for the win. 2 kings would split the pot as well.
Yeah, Jack's full of kings. So
At a 9, interestingly enough.
absolutely, yeah, split the
the 9 as
9.
well, yeah.
I did that to my friend, hit a 9 when I had an undercard.
Yeah.
But still, things looking
Okay,
very
we split.
good
Oh, no.
until
Chop,
that
chop,
hit.
chop.
Unbelievable.
We take the last bit back.
You can push the guru. He said, what a lucky one, huh? No, now yes. With hands with him, yes, I was lucky.
Unbelievable, he says.
But you can see that we
Unbelievable.
same thought the check before.
You like to check on the flop there, Nick.
Yeah, 1 slot trips, 1 slot to full house, check. Pretty normal.
Just a running pair. The king on the river, that was one of the cards Liuzzi could hit for the split, and he did. Jacks full of kings for both. For me, at every stage in this heat, it's been easy to say, he's the winner, he's the winner, he's the favorite. It's feeling very wide open right now.
We wrote this guy off, Liuzzi, and he's got the chip lead.
Out of turn.
Now,
Okay.
well, now he just announced raise. He didn't say how much, so they're probably going to rule this a minimum raise. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, they're going to call Marty over. This is
a situation.
Yeah.
He's in for 3 already.
Wow, he's got
4.
2 aces.
4. Okay, the minimum raise is 8. The action's back on this guy. Okay, so
This
you're
one.
putting a
Taking
minimum
this
raise
as
of 8.
I do it now.
Yeah, okay. You've announced raise. Okay, the action's with you.
And then can I re-raise again or not?
No, you can only call any.
The action will be back on you. Okay.
Alright.
I tell you, Scott's hand is so strong. He might.
So to me, it's 600 to call, or I can
600
raise.
to call, or you can make it more.
What the situation is, right? You can now make the blind up to 4. He's acted. The action's back on you. Okay.
Make it 1,600
That'll get-
total.
1600
Okay.
total.
So it's 800 more to call.
Yes, I go.
And a call.
Scott actually had kind of an interesting decision there. Do you like what he decided to do overall?
He's basically, if Giancarlo's aware, which he clearly isn't, I mean, he must now know that Scott's got an absolute monster. I mean, why would he make such a small re-raise again?
Right.
Scott's just trying to get as much money in the pot as possible. If he hits a 9, it's game over.
And even that, you know, it's not a horrible flop for the ace 9. I mean,
All in.
All in.
it's was a very odd situation, and obviously what's made it interesting is that, forget about the aces. I mean, the ace-9 blind on blind is a pretty darn strong hand.
It's a very, very strong hand, and we can see why Fisichella wanted to raise. The raise back took the initiative back, and now he went all in. Fisichella's aggressive. Scott should have realised that he's got to give this guy a bit of rope to hang himself, because he may now try and get away from this. And he has done. I think Scott's made a small mistake there. He's got to think through that hand.
Blinds have gone up again. Did I hear right? 3 and 600. You really cannot pull any loose ones here.
No more mistakes in poker. Even the chip leaders got just over 10 big blinds.
Well, Fisichella's looking at O'Reilly and Liuzzi's chips like, I used to have that many. Oh, the old days. He does like a good squeeze.
He loves a good. He's like Willie Tan. He loves a good squeeze up.
I don't blame him. It's half the fun.
Raise 2,200, right?
1,200.
1,200, yeah.
Raise 600 more, 1,200 total.
Now this is really tough for Scott. The math says one thing, Liuzzi's image says another.
Yeah, he's got to start adjusting and figuring out this guy. Yes, he's very tight, but he just wants to see a flop. But Liuzzi's got the lead here. If the board comes 2-3-4 and Liuzzi makes a continuation bet, it's going to be very, very hard for Scott to continue.
It feels like in the back of Scott's mind, he thinks that if Liuzzi misses, he may just check it. I'm not actually sure at this stage if Liuzzi will check if he misses.
Yeah,
what do you
see.
think?
I don't know. Let's see. I mean, I'm really interested to know if it does come down rags, what Liuzzi's going to do. Or a board like that.
It doesn't exactly look like it's Christmas.
Good boy. Good boy. He's heard about the continuation bet somewhere. From his brother, from his girlfriend, from his father. Raise before the flop and bet the flop. You bet, you win.
Just get it over that line, Tonio.
And he has to bet 1,200.
Oh no! He might have just shopped it there. Oh God!
And I think he's shown Scott his cards. He picked up his cards so high.
I don't know. It's certainly not the recommended line to take. It's one thing to check. It's another thing to flash your hand, Nick.
You're making the game a bit too easy there.
Check.
Check.
I mean, Scott's actually got some showdown value here. But he's thinking, okay, I'll let him check once. Would he check twice? And isn't that queen a good card to represent? It's very tricky out here right now.
The king would be brutal.
A king would be hysterical. There's 2,400 out there.
Check. Okay, Jackson.
And it happened as Scott thought it might have. He was so close, Tonio. He was so close. He counted that money out.
Yeah, I mean, Scott read it right. He just thought, I might as well call this, because the guy's never putting another chip in the pot unless he hits. So it worked out really, really well for Scott, and that's a healthy part.
Why you didn't?
He's been a really interesting counterpoint to the race drivers in this heat. He's really presented them with a tough challenge and an interesting challenge. For the most part, they've surmounted at every hurdle.
All in.
Good boy. He's getting it in. He's got fold equity. He's got the hand that plays well when it's called. Ah.
To catch the fly together, so call.
Together?
Yeah.
Together what? Call. Wait. Call, yeah.
Yeah, call.
Call all in.
It's okay.
Oh, that we have to catch the flight together, so.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think Liuzzi was saying he was calling all in, but the way he said it, call, there was actually, he had Fisichella covered. So there was actually a bit of a play from, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's got to be careful. He nearly pushed his cards forward like his Demuckdom, as Scott quite rightly pointed out that he was still in the hand. But Fisichella is covered. This is a big pot. He's in trouble. He needs to hit his 10, really.
Got running cards for a straight and running cards for a flush, but as you said, the 10 the best option, and sooner rather than later. There are not going to be any split pots here. The paired board, no help at all.
Arrivederci.
Before you said,
All close.
That would have been a great card on the turn, but on the river, it's too little too late for Fisichella, who, I tell you what, I mean, this guy, if he ever decides to give up race car driving, he can play some cards.
Absolutely. He played really, really well today. He made very few mistakes, and for a guy that probably hasn't been playing that much for that long, he really, really impressed me, Jesse.
He beat Joe Hatcham head up, and my guess, he beat him bad.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good game. I finished third, and I've been a little bit unlucky with Liuzzi's hands when he did the flash, and then I lost most of the money, so I was a little bit tight with the money. So I was sometimes lean, and then at the end I found again Liuzzi with ace jack, and I had a jack 10. But anyway, it was good. I enjoy.
Vitantonio Liuzzi, like many auto racing drivers, began his career as in a kart racing, and at the age of 19, winning the karting world championship, he beat Michael Schumacher at his home track. This is very similar to the sort of situation Tonio faces now, Nick, because he's up against a very good poker player on his home turf, the televised table.
Absolutely. Even though he's got a slight chip lead, I do make Scott the favourite. He is the underdog.
And you can see that what the stats say, O'Reilly has won many more hands. That's basically been been slightly more aggressive, I guess.
Yeah, just slightly more aggressive and winning the odd pot on the flop, etc. But the bet frequency is fairly similar, and the stacks are very close now, Jesse.
Blind's so big, Nick, that really that $1,400 between them in stack size, it's no more than the big blind.
Yep, the odd walk, the odd raise and steal could even it up very quickly. I'd be interested to know what Scott's plan is going to be on the button. Is he going to limp in? Is he going to min raise? Is he going to make big all-in plays?
And these are the sort of hands that O'Reilly is going to call with, obviously.
No, I actually do think he should be shoving, but given the guy doesn't bet unless he hits, he's taking the safe route.
Oh well, I mean,
bet.
He's gonna get there in the end.
2,000. Okay.
How much do you like this bet?
Well, he's got a gut shot. He's got no pair. He can't show 4-3 down at the river. So yeah, he wins. That's maybe why I do like the shove. And maybe I've got Liuzzi all wrong. Maybe he is going to start making some plays. I like that a lot.
He certainly has. He certainly got that one through. And if O'Reilly doesn't realize it, if he doesn't realize it right now, it could be too late. He might have already made the crucial mistake, Scott.
Yeah, you've got to act really quickly heads up with these blinds. You can't hang around waiting for big hands.
Call.
All in.
And you know what? He's got some kind of game, this O'Reilly. He's a pretty quick learner himself.
I can see Liuzzi calling him here.
Really?
I'm tempted to come.
You see, he's tempted to come.
Wow!
Vinitri.
Does he?
I don't think he's going to, but he is tempted.
Does he just think something made...
No, not this time.
Does he just think something just wasn't quite right? It didn't quite make sense.
He hasn't been playing a long time, but he did think, he's starting to think, you know, if I limp in, the guy is going to just stick the chips in. So, and Jack 9, it's kind of connected.
Thousand.
He's announced 1,000. I think
1,000 more, or?
Yeah, total 1,000.
Well, he's going to get it in his eyeball. Scott's going to move all in. He just wants to clarify what the raise is. It's a minimum raise.
I don't like.
Yeah,
I don't like 200.
All in?
now he had enough of a chip lead here, Liuzzi, where I guess he can afford to let one go. What does the math say?
Well, he's not getting 2 to 1, and he knows he's definitely behind. So, he's not 100% sure he's definitely behind, but Queen 3 is such a rubbish hand. So, that's the one. That's the one strike.
Ah, 2. Okay.
That's the one strike.
How much is that?
39.
3,900.
I'm just going to see. He just wants to know exactly what calling and losing will do. It's fair enough. It's a fair enough question. He recognizes that this is all essentially going to be a bit random, that the cards are live. He probably doesn't know the exact math. He might know the exact math. I'd be surprised if he did. I don't think he's been playing that long. He's got good instincts.
Call.
Wow, he's called.
Good luck, yeah.
And sort of the idea that he thought, hey, I'm going to have to take one of these on, and I might as well do it while I can still, call and have chips if I lose. He's taking the worst of it here.
Well, he's a 2 to 1 underdog, as we can see by the percentages there. 66-33.
1 out of 3 times, this is going to be Oversville. And there's the 8. Good card for Scott. Takes the 3 out of play. Antonio needs to hit the lady. Will the deck be kind to him or he? Close.
But no cigar. And with 10,200 chips in that pot, Scott O'Reilly is in the driving seat.
He took a swing. He took a shot. He took a chance. There's always something to be said for trying to seal the deal. Getting those cards over when 5 cards are to come and anything can happen. But Scott O'Reilly now a 2 to 1 chip leader, and that'll give him the initiative for the win.
Holdem.
All in.
Call.
The quick call usually means at least an ace. That's it.
He's gotten dominated here, Jesse.
Yeah, that's it. Oi, oi, oi. We could see another reversal of fortunes, but as Liuzzi learned, Scott does have the advantage of not having his tournament at stake here. And there's always something to be said for that. Ace still strong, still straight and true. Spade, a 5, all kinds of straight cards could make this a sweaty river.
That's a big card for Scott.
That's the perfect card, in a sense.
That's not a 6, you're right, Jesse.
Any 5, any 6, any spade.
The 9 of diamonds is going to come on the river. Oh, spade. Back
Flush! It's over!
Unlucky at the end.
He did it. And, he did step up his game, Vitantonio. He also got his man all in with 5 cards to come. And really just lost there by the narrowest of margins. He looks like a man who's been through a battle, Scott. And you know what? I think it's taken a bit out of him. He's certainly earned it. Certainly earned his path to the final table, Scott O'Reilly. Liuzzi called the push, loved the dominating hand, but not the Turner River. Spade, a flush, and Scott O'Reilly threw. He's really done something here. This was not an easy win.
I'm very pleased with my play overall today. I think I maybe missed a couple of spots, but other than that, I think I picked up a couple of extra ones and I was quite happy. The heads up seemed to go quite swimmingly. Got rather lucky on the end, but that's just poker really. I'm afraid when the guy's that short, you just got to do it.
I mean, the game was a really tough cookie. I finished second, but you know, at the end I think I didn't play properly the last hand when I was head-to-head with my competitor. But I have to say it was really adrenaline because, you know, beating also Giancarlo and Giorgio, because I know that they play a lot and they are good players. It was a good thing. I did my best. You know, I'm still not a professional, so I hope that I can come back in the future and aim for the podium.
Next time, the boxing heat. World champions and online qualifiers fight it out for a seat on the final table of the Party Poker Sports Stars Challenge 4.